Charlie Weber says, from a fan of Marquette for the last 25 years, please say thank you for everything he has done on and off the court for Marquette. He's unquestionably the most automatic player I've rooted for, and I have enjoyed him immensely. And then he asks, what's your favorite shot taken at Marquette?
My favorite shot taken. That's a tough one. My favorite shot, I would have to say. All right, this is gonna sound a little weird, but my favorite shot taken, it wasn't even actually a make. So my favorite shot was my first shot ever taken wearing a Marquette jersey. It was funny because our strength and conditioning coach, Todd Smith, he would always tell us before the games, he's like, hey, like, especially my first game, he knew it was my first game, and he said, hey, like, your first shot, like, you better not smoke it, you know. So I'm like thinking in my head, like, oh, I'm a 17-year-old kid, like, oh, I got to make my first shot. So the first shot I take, it leaves my hands. Right when it leaves my hands, I said, I don't know about that one. And so it left my hands, and it touches no rim, goes from one side of the backboard to the other. And, you know, like, for me, I would say that's my favorite shot because, you know, as a freshman, you come in thinking like, oh, like I got it all figured out, or I'm gonna, you know, make noise right away. That kind of like brought me to reality. Like, man, like I got a lot of work to do. You know, I got like, you know, for me to start my college career with like a brick like that, I was like, man, no, I gotta get back in the gym. So no, that shot kept me grounded, and you know, that's one I'll never forget. Me and Todd Smith to this day always talk about that first shot I took, and you know, we kind of just laugh joking about it, just to see where I'm at now and how it all started with, you know, a terrible shot like that.
Well, it's been what makes ever since.
Yeah.
Let's continue here. That's a great story.
I like these questions. You know, you guys have seen a different side of me, so I like these questions.
That's right. Anthony Wilder says, is there a certain player or an athlete in general, maybe not a basketball player, that you idolized growing up?
I mean, this is going to sound like a broken record, but I would definitely have to say my older brother, Jordan. I mean, to this day, you know, I've talked about it before, you know, just the impact he's had on me as a basketball player, as a person. But, you know, just in watching him, I have a different vested interest just because he's my brother. But at the same time, I truly love his game. I think I play, you know, more kind of like come at you physical, but Jordan's just so smooth. And, you know, that's something in my game that, you know, I try to implement. But, you know, Jordan's just one of those players, man. You know, everything he does is so smooth, and I really love watching him play. From his release and how he shoots to the way he handles the ball. You know, like when we work out together, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm competing with him, of course, but I'm also just like in awe of the things he can do. So I'd have to say my older brother, Jordan, is definitely, you know, one of those guys I idolize. I don't like using the word idolize because, you know, I just don't, but I really look up to my older brother, Jordan, in terms of how he plays the game, but also just how he carries himself as a person.
We've got another one here from Butler Basketball Guru, so we can tell who they're gunning towards. Yeah, right. He says, who's the toughest Big East defender, player and or team that you've ever faced?
Toughest. Okay, this is going to be a couple years ago. So I would say he's in the NBA now. So Kyrie Thomas from Creighton. I think he was my sophomore year. He was the defensive player of the year in our conference. You know, he was a guy who could do it on both ends, man. He was a guy who could go get you 20-plus points, and then he could guard the team's best player. So, you know, in terms of he was super quick. You know, quick laterally, really explosive. So he was a guy who, you know, provided problems for a lot of teams, a lot of players. You know, he was a great defender. Played me pretty well as well when we played, but he was a guy who I thought was really impressive just because he had, you know, a lot of energy playing both ends. So he was a guy who I'm not surprised he's, you know, being really successful in the NBA right now because he's able to do it on both ends.
That's a great answer. And that's a guy that kind of gets forgotten. So
I think he gets slept on so much, man. He was such a great player at Creighton. You know, him, Marcus Foster, that backcourt at Creighton they were tough, man. They were really tough.
That's really interesting stuff. All right, this is a fun one from Brett. He says, ask him if the hot cookies from Cobean are still fire.
Oh my gosh. The hot cookie night. That's every dorm has that at one night of the week. But I haven't done it. I kind of feel bad because I haven't done it in years. Like my freshman and sophomore year, when I was in the dorms, oh my goodness. Hot cookie night was like the best day of the week. When I tell you, they put in a little cup, be a hot cookie. It was like it would melt in your mouth. It was like, oh. And if you played it right, you had like a glass of milk with a little bit of ice cream. If you dipped a little bit, you mix the cookie with the ice cream. It was the best thing ever.
Wow.
Like man, like
I'm
oh
impressed by that.
that'll put you to sleep. Like forget sleeping pills, forget NyQuil. Have a hot cookie on
Have a
hot
hot
cookie, now
cookie
you'll go to sleep just like that.
at Marquette. Now,
Oh,
Cobean's dorm hall.
yeah, it's a dorm hall. It's actually right behind the Al McGuire Center. So I mean, it was easy. Right after practice, go to Cobean, grab a hot cookie, get out, go to sleep. You good?
Man, that makes me want to come to
John,
Marquette.
I'm telling you, man, it's the way to go.